Hello everyone, my name is Tommy.
I'm Kenzie.
And welcome back to Backstage Thoughts. We have some more cast member stories for you today. I think it's just going to be 2 stories from me this time, right? You don't have anything else to share? Yeah. Turns out more interesting things happen to you when you work in attractions at Magic Kingdom than when you work at a quick service restaurant at Caribbean Beach Resort.
And that's not to say, nothing exciting happened. It's just, smaller things.
So I have 2 stories today. I think I will first talk about when I had to deal with a cult, and then I think I will go into the story about the most famous person I met while I was working at Disney World. So for this first story, I am at Merge. If you don't know, Merge is kind of the point in the queue when the Lightning Lane and the standby line come together. Pretty much every attraction has a merge point at some point, right? Usually it's very soon before you are loaded onto the ride, or loaded into the theater if it's a show. So I'm at Merge, and I am facing this way. And on my right side, I have standby line coming through. On my left side, I have the Lightning Lane line coming through. And it's fairly late at night, so it's not super busy. And everyone has slightly different approaches at Merge. My approach, the approach that I found that works the best, is kind of to just let the standby go, because there's 2 load areas at Pirates as well, right? I just let standby go to the port side load area, and I let Lightning Lane go to the starboard side load area. I kind of give them each their own load area. And for the most part, that works. And then you make slight adjustments, right? So if Lightning Lane starts to get backed up, you pause standby and you send Lightning Lane down both sides. If the starboard side gets really empty because there's not a lot of Lightning Lane people coming, you can send some standby people down that way. But for the most part, I usually just let them go. I don't ask how many. Some people will ask every single party, how many are you? How many do you have? How many do you have? I only ask how many if I am kind of intervening to fix the Lightning Lane backup. If I'm not, I just go like this. So, I didn't mean to hit you in the face. I just go like this, and I just let them keep going down the sides that they were going.
That was so rude.
It wasn't on purpose.
Being right in the face.
So I'm at Merge. This group comes up, and there were 9 of them. And they were all wearing matching white outfits. And obviously matching outfits aren't anything special at Disney, right?
No.
People wear
everyone wears matching t-shirts with their family,
right.
Everything like that.
What was different about this is that these were not t-shirts, and they didn't say the Smiths family vacation on them or anything like that. It was matching white collared shirts that they were all wearing. And I believe they all had white pants on as well, although I could be wrong about that.
Did they have any emblem or logo on the shirt?
No, completely plain white collared shirts.
It's giving KKK.
No, KKK is robes. They weren't robes.
Okay. Well, maybe they have different attire for the places they go.
Well, when they go to Florida, it's too hot, so
they have to wear just a t-shirt and pants. So
they come up, and I don't say anything to them, right? I'm just motioning them to keep going down that way because that's what I do at Merge, right? But they talk to me. They go, "There's 9 of us, and we need our own boat. We're not sharing." I forgot that part. They specifically said, "We need our own boat. We're not sharing." And keep in mind, 23 people fit in a boat, right? There are 6 rows. The first 5 rows fit 4. The last row fits 3. 23 people fit in a boat. They have 9. 9 is not enough people. Sometimes we will give parties their own boat if they have 18 or more. 9 is not enough to get your own boat. So they say that to me, and I said, "I can't guarantee that," is all I said. They're like, "We need our own boat." I'm like, "Well, I can't guarantee that, but go down this way." And the guy responded back to me, "I'll guarantee it when I get down there." And
That's terrifying.
They walk down to starboard, right? So I take a glance over to see who's at starboard load, and I immediately rotate. I immediately get rotation right after this happens to Lightning Lane assist is the position. So I'm out front by Lightning Lane. So as soon as I get out there, I get on the intercom, and I call down to starboard load. And the person that was down there, I'm like, "Hey, I want to give you a heads up about these people. They came up to me very angrily demanding that they get their own boat. And I was basically don't give it to them. And I also asked when I was out there, because they came up Lightning Lane, I'm like, did you see this like weird group of people? To the person that was out Lightning Lane, they're like, yeah. And they didn't even have Lightning Lane, but they demanded that I let them in, and so I just let them in. So
that's insane.
Yeah, they didn't have Lightning Lane. They demanded their way in and
got it.
Right. Then they came to me at Merge, demanded their own boat. I'm like, well, I'm not making that decision, but
someone else will.
And for the record, if I was at load at that point and they came up to me, nope.
You would never get your own
boat.
Like,
how many? And they go, 9, but we need our own boat. We're not sharing. I'm like, all right, rows 1, 2, and 3.
Like, what do you need your own boat for?
Well, so this is what happened when they got down to starboard load. They said they need their own boat, and I don't know the exact interaction, but I did talk with the person that was there after the fact, and she said that they told them that they have a disease, and they need their own boat because they all have this disease.
Oh, so if you're in close proximity with these people, you'll probably get the disease.
Right. Well, why are they in the park at all if that's the case?
That was my point.
And why are they all wearing matching cult attire? Is that part of, like, the disease prevention plan? They
probably
have to wear white collared t-shirts?
That way they know who already has it. They don't have to infect those people again.
And she gave them their own boat. I would not. There is no way I would have given them their own boat.
And, like, it was, like, during the day, too. It's not like you were at a slow point.
It was somewhat slow.
But still.
It wasn't. It was, like, probably 7 o'clock. So it was not peak time of the day. But yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Maybe like COVID times, but that was enforced with like every group of people.
I don't know how they did. I think at Pirates what they did was they alternated rows. So they would leave rows 2 and 4, 2, 4, and 6 empty, or 1, 3, and 5 empty, or something like that.
But still, like, you can't just demand that from someone. Like,
yeah. So what I did was I found a coordinator. I'm like, I should probably let my coordinator know about this. They kind of seem threatening. So I found my coordinator, and she sent a mass text out to all of the coordinators for every attraction in all of Magic Kingdom, basically warning them about this group of people, and letting them know that this was happening, so that they could be prepared for it. And I don't know what ended up happening after that. I don't know if they tried this on another attraction and got, booted. I don't know if they were able to bully their way onto more rides. I have no idea.
Like, I just imagine them, like, demanding their own cart on, like, Big Thunder Mountain. Like,
their own, like, train?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But that was, I didn't even ask. It's like, didn't ask.
We need it.
Yeah, did not ask. They go, we're 9 and we're not sharing. We need our own boat.
People are so entitled.
Never did find out what cult they belong to either. I'm convinced, though, they have to be some kind of cult, or like one of those obscure religious groups that is a cult but says that they're just a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of those. I don't know. And then my second story, for this one I'm grouping. I'm going about my business as usual, telling people which road to go to. My favorite position, because it's like a big puzzle in your head. And coordinator comes up to me and says, hey, I need you to stop grouping. We have what were they called? They weren't called VIP guests. They were called something else. I don't know. So anyway, my coordinator comes up and basically says, hey, we got a famous person coming. And the protocol, ironically, for famous people is you do give them their own boat, regardless of how big their party is. So he's like, you need to stop grouping. They need their own boat. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I forgot to kind of preface this, but earlier that day, it was earlier that day, right? Or was it the day before?
I think it was the day before.
The day before, Kenzie's family was in Disney. And one of them asked me, like, have you met any famous people? Which is a question I've gotten pretty frequently. And at that point, I was like, well, no. There were 2 other occasions where famous people were around.
Went through the line and you were on break, or like something like that.
Yeah, the week I got there, I forget I don't know who the actor is that plays the older brother in Wizards of Waverly Place. I forget his name.
David Henry.
Okay, David Henry. Sure. David Henry rode pirates and actually got kicked out for refusing to wear a mask, because that was still like the time where all the guests had to wear masks indoors. Yeah, he threw a whole like tantrum because they told him he had to put a mask on, and then they kicked him out. And then there was also a time where Scarlett Johansson rode pirates while I was on break. And I think there was one other person as well. But I had never interacted with any of these people. So she asked me, like, many famous people, and I tell her about these. So I'm like, no, I've never met anyone. The next day, I'm grouping, and that's when my coordinator comes. Hey, we got a VIP guest or a famous, whatever they're called. Didn't tell me who it was or anything like that. Just said, stop grouping. They're going to come up through, like, the backstage area, like where we take the wheelchairs, and they need their own boat. Like, okay. So they come up, and no one from their party actually talks to me. The person that talks to me is, like, the cast member that's, like, traveling around with them, and also, like, the security guy. Like, I don't actually talk to the people themselves.
Well, you're too much of a lower person.
I'm just a peasant. I'm not even. I'm a CP.
Yeah. You don't deserve their acknowledgement.
No. So he comes up. I'm like, hey, how many? And they're like 8 or 9 or whatever. And I asked the security guy, I'm like, are you riding with them? He's like, yeah, I'll ride with them. I'm like, okay. It was more than 6.
You told me 6 in our text message.
Okay, so maybe it was... Okay, yeah, so...
6 and then the security guy.
Okay, that would make sense.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So I start explaining to them, right? Because there's specific ways they have to sit in order to not get the boat stuck. So I'm like in the process of explaining this, and the famous person, and her name's probably in the title.
Okay, God.
It's JoJo Siwa. Her and her girlfriend and her parents, I think, and her brother were there. And as I'm trying to explain, like, their options for which rows they can sit in, they just completely ignore me, walk past me, and just get in whatever row they want.
They actually couldn't even hear you.
And fortunately, like, I glance over, and they are in, like, decent enough rows. I'm like, all right, I guess that's fine. But I'm explaining to them, like, all right, there's 6 of you. You can either go, like, 2 in row 1, 2 in 3, 2 in 5, or you can go, like, 2 people in 2, or 3 people in 2, 3 people in 4. You can each have your own row. And as I'm, like, in the middle of explaining this, they're just, like, completely ignoring me. I think they ended up with, like, 2 people in 2, 3 people in 4, and 1 person in 6, or something like that.
Well, no one could sit with the security guard. He's his own person.
And I'm not really even aware of who... Like, I know who JoJo Siwa is. I've heard the name before. I would not have been able to pick her out of a crowd.
But then, like, me, like, being a Dance Moms fan growing up, like, immediately would have been like, I can't even speak to her. Like...
all I know is that, like, whoever this person was, they were kind of rude because they blew me off and didn't acknowledge me.
It's okay. She's, like getting canceled now, so it's fine.
She's getting canceled?
Yeah.
What'd she do?
First she pretended she was pregnant, but that's not what's getting her canceled.
She's she gay? How'd she get pregnant?
It was food. She wasn't actually pregnant.
The story's not over, though. So I group them. They get on the boat. And JoJo and her girlfriend sit in the front, either row 1 or 2. I think it was row 2. And just, like, immediately start making out. Like, boat hasn't even left yet. Their parents, or her parents and brother are, like, 2 rows behind them. Just, like, full-on making out in the boat. I'm like, why? Like, no other guest does this.
Yeah.
Why do you think you can do this? Please stop being weird.
It's so funny.
It's not funny. It's just kind of cringe. And it's not even, like, it's not because they're women, right? I don't want anyone making out in public.
Like...
I don't care who you are. You could be the hottest people on the planet. I don't want you making out in public. That's just weird and cringe and makes me uncomfortable. So, like, before the boat even goes out into the ride, they're just like... And her parents and brother are right behind her, too. That's just even more uncomfortable. And then I'm told... So, not only did my side stop grouping before they got on...
Stop hitting...
The other side, the starboard side, also stopped grouping. So, the way that the boats line up, starboard boat's in front, and then the port boat's in the back. So, the boat in front of them was empty. And we dispatched them, right? And then I'm told we can't group the next boats either. We have to send them empty also.
That's so dumb.
So the next 2 boats behind them also go empty. And then we can start grouping again. And as I start grouping, everyone that comes up, they're like, "Oh my god, it was JoJo! Did you see it was JoJo Siwa?" I'm like, "Yeah, she
tried
me.
to talk to her."
Like, and for like the next, they're like, "Oh my god, I got a picture of her. She said hi to me." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Okay, sure, just get on the boat, please."
We're already 4 boats behind.
Yeah, really.
Well, she's like Disney World celebrity. Like, that's there all the time.
I know.
Like, she's friends with, like, Josh DeMero and, like, rode Guardians with him and then rode Tron with him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, she just gives lots of free advertising to the brand, so I can imagine. So yeah, that's the time I met a cult and also the time I met a famous person. Not in the same day. Kind of a funny juxtaposition there. We had people demanding their own boats and then people we just kind of gave their own boats.
4 boats.
Personally, I don't think they're 4 boats,
their
right?
own 4 boats.
Personally, I don't think either of them deserve their own boat, but
I mean,
I don't make the rules.
Not 4 boats. Maybe 1. But why do they need the one in front and 2 behind them? Like,
so no one can take pictures.
So what? It's a dark ride.
I don't know.
What are they gonna take pictures of? The back of her head?
Yeah. Paparazzi's crazy.
Her and her girlfriend making out?
Yeah, you know how they could get rid of that one, though?
They could just not make out.
Facts.
Maybe they wanted people to see.
I think that, no, they definitely did. 100%. 100%. Yeah, oh, and I also forgot, afterwards, after, like, when I was on break or whatever, my coworkers kept coming up to me and were, like, saying things like, "You handled that so well." I'm like, "What do you?" I just told them what row to go to.
They didn't even talk to me.
Yeah, I didn't handle it any differently than I would have handled anything else. And they're like, "Oh my god, I love her." I'm like, "Okay." Like, I didn't even realize who it was until she was already on the boat. And I don't think even if I did, it would have changed anything.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for you. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed these stories. If you did, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. I don't know how many more stories we'll have coming. I do have others. They're just maybe not as exciting as the ones I've already told, but I think they are. There are some gems still hidden in there, I think, that I can talk about. We'll also have plenty of informative videos, park guides, things like that. And, of course, more trivia and games in the future. We played that one. I think we'll play some more for sure. So if you're interested in any of that kind of content, subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.